Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective, and in today's video I'm going to do my review of NXT Great American Bash 2025. First off, we had Javon Evans defeating Jasper Troy in the opening contest, and yeah, Evans wasn't really tactically correct, especially for the majority of the match, going to the air a lot, which I know is kind of his instinct. But against a guy like Jasper Troy, he's just going to catch him all the time and throw him around, which is pretty much exactly what he did. You know, you're clearly going to get, caught, and yeah, it just didn't make much sense at all. He didn't need to use... Like I said, he's more aerial and high-flying offense. What he needed to do was use his speed and endurance in this one, because that would have kind of tired out Jasper Troy, and then he probably would have got the advantage that way. Like, that's probably what I would like. That's what I expected going into the match. But yeah, the majority of the match was taken by Jasper Troy. He was in control for the most part. I said throwing around Javon Evans and kind of doing a lot of power moves to kind of take him out, especially targeting the hurt ribs that Javon had. When Javon Evans did get the advantage, he did look very good in the ring. Like, you can tell Jasper Troy kind of has a while to go before he starts having top matches. But yeah, Javon Evans is arguably one of the better wrestlers in NXT bell to bell right now, just because of how much he can kind of use his speed and then use the high flying moves to go along with it. But overall, it felt more like Javon Evans stole the W here. You know, I kind of know that was the point with his hurt ribs, but yeah, I kind of wasn't a massive fan of this one. I don't like it when they do the kind of thing where like one guy should very clearly get the win here due to an injury, and then the guy who's injured ends up stealing it. And I know it kind of played into one of the matches later on, but again, it wasn't used that well. And yeah, over, like it said, it was a solid start to the show. It just was very unrealistic that Javon Evans would be able to beat Jasper Troy and be hurt at the same time. And yeah, like, I get sometimes it works, but here I felt like it would have benefited Jasper Troy a lot more to get the win over Javon Evans. Following that, we had Soul Rucker defeat Izzy Dame to retain the Women's North American Championship, and this had a very good start to it. This was very intellectual from Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame. You could kind of tell that Sean Spears was kind of behind it a little bit, because it's the kind of thing he would do. And yeah, these two, as far as Soul and Izzy Dame go, like, had really good chemistry. For me, this was very surprising, but match of the night for me was this one. I was very impressed with how the women went out there and absolutely tore it up. Yeah, we saw the power game of Izzy Dame versus the athleticness of Soul Rucker, and yeah, they complemented each other very well with this one. I feel like I've underrated Izzy Dame over the last few weeks, but you know, she had a very good showing on NXT in the four-way match to get to the opportunity against. She had a four-way for an opportunity for a title match. I can't remember who it was against. She had a very good showing in that match. The four-way to get into this match as well was very good. And yeah, I don't know, was there a four-way against this one? There was some kind of, in multi-woman matches, she's been very good. And yeah, for this one again, this was very well done by Izzy Dame. The partnership with Tatum Paxley, I can't see it lasting very long. But for the time being, it's absolutely fine. Just that Tatum Paxley, unless they completely repackage her, does not fit into the culling at all. But yeah, this was by far Izzy Dame's best match by a country mile. Not quite Soul Rucker's best match, but it seems that Soul Rucker is becoming the woman of the division that kind of can't have a bad match with anybody. I'd be very interested to see Rucker and Tatum Paxley have a singles match, maybe on just a random NXT at some point. I feel like that'd be a very good match. I feel like Tatum Paxley is also very underrated. But yeah, I think, to be fair, I would say that Soul Rucker right now, bell for bell, is the best women's wrestler in NXT, if not one of the best wrestlers overall, with maybe just behind Ethan Page, Ricky Saints, and Obafemi. But yeah, no, she's been absolutely killing it. I enjoyed the finish to the match as well, with Tatum Paxley continuously getting involved. Zarya absolutely killed Tatum with a spear. I thought it looked absolutely brutal, but worked really well for the match. And then, yeah, beautiful Soul Snatcher, which, to be fair, Soul Snatcher is probably one of the best finishers right now in the whole of WWE. It's so cool looking. And yeah, I think this was, for me, as I said, I think it was an underrated one, and not underrated. I feel like this was a match that no one was really expecting to do much. And in my opinion, it actually got match of the night. It's the match I enjoyed the most by far. And yeah, I look forward to seeing Soul Rucker continue her reign as North American champion, but also look forward to seeing what Izzy Dame does in the future, see if she can use this momentum, having great matches to kind of get further up the card again. After that, we had Ethan Page defeat Ricky Saints in a Falls Count Anywhere match to retain the North American Championship. And yeah, there was no messing around here. They went straight into the action and fighting all over the place. This was very evenly contested, especially in the opening sequence / the brawl they had. Ethan Page got the momentum once he did the chair to the throat spot, and he had the momentum for probably the majority of the match from that point. Ricky Saints did get back into it at some point, but then we had a cameo almost from Jasper Troy, who chokeslammed Ricky Saints onto a box, and then Ricky Saints kind of just got up afterwards and continued fighting. It kind of didn't play a big impact in the match and felt very useless as far as it continuing the match. I thought maybe as Ricky Saints lost, they might do Jasper Troy versus Ricky Saints going forward, and they might still do, but it didn't have a massive impact on the match how I think I was expecting it to have. But yeah, both guys used very innovative offense to kind of get the advantage back, and they used the weapons to the fullest advantage. The guardrail was used very well, which I know becomes the guardrail is used a lot more in NXT than his main roster, but it's still an interesting choice of weapon to use. But yeah, this was a very enjoyable match. It was very average for a Falls Count Anywhere match, but I put that down more to the arena they were in. It was a very small arena. They didn't really have a lot of space to work with. I feel like Falls Count Anywhere probably wasn't the best option for this one, and they should have just had a street fight or just a no holds barred or a no disqualification match. They could have just ended in the ring. But it was absolutely fine for the most part. The powerbomb on the chairs that Ricky Saints took, respect for him for taking that. That looked awful, and those kind of spots always do. But yeah, for me personally, I'm glad that Ethan Page is still champion. I feel like he's making that title worth something again, probably for the first time since Obafemi had it last year. No offense to D'Angelo and Sean Spears and all them that had it before. It just feels like it's way more important now. And I feel like he probably could just get called up to the main roster with the North American Championship and just work Raw or SmackDown and NXT at the same time. I feel like Ethan Page is he could probably do that kind of endurance wrestling. But yes, a quite enjoyable match. Not the best match on the card, instead a very average Falls Count Anywhere match. But yeah, very glad that Ethan Page is still champion, and I'm very curious to see what Ricky Saints does next. After that, we had Obafemi defeat Yokishi Inamura to retain the NXT Championship. And yeah, Inamura took it to Obafemi from the start. I wasn't expecting just how fast-paced this was going to be from Inamura and how hard-hitting it was going to be. It feels like Obafemi is probably Oba's biggest test since Stand and Deliver for the NXT Championship. And yeah, he was getting he being Obafemi was getting taken down. He was being lifted up. Something that we don't see from Obafemi very often is being manhandled a lot. And yeah, Inamura was doing this not just a little bit. He was doing it a lot, which I was very surprised about. They were really helping put it over Inamura here. Anyone surprised? Well, they've already suggested after the match that they were going to have a rematch at some point. It feels like Briggs is going to go one-on-one with Oba as well. But yeah, Oba hasn't been quite the NXT champion as I thought he was going to be, and that isn't down to him. I feel like that's down to his lackluster opponent choice. I get that Inamura looks very good here. I get the whole point with Miles Bourne in the last match they had as well, but yeah, it just feels like when we were made an Obafemi champion, that he would face people like Ethan Page, Ricky Saints, people at the top of the card. But he's faced Theory and Waller, Miles Bourne, Jasper Troy, but Jasper was never going to win unless they were going to go with a shot result, which I couldn't see them doing. And Inamura here. So yeah, it's kind of not been quite the run I thought it was going to be. Going back to the match, I feel like Inamura was being too much of a good babyface. He wasn't. He had too much of a conscience about him. Josh Briggs' mind was in the right place with Obafemi being such a dominant champion that Inamura needs to do whatever he can do to win. And yeah, he just wasn't doing that. I feel like Josh Briggs' involvement in the match was maybe a little bit too much. But if it leads to a rematch with Inamura down the line, and maybe a match between Oba and Briggs anyway, probably this week on NXT, or today on NXT even, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah, so we need to build up more main eventers on NXT, so Oba has more title jeopardy making matches where we feel like Oba's going to maybe get a loss here, because the last 3 months has been pretty straightforward for Oba as far as title defenses go, and I was hoping that with making him NXT champion, he would put even better matches on as when he was North American champion, which simply hasn't been the case. But nothing against this match at all. This was Inamura's best match by far. He had an absolutely fantastic showing here, especially like bringing out the strikes that he's been doing like during the match. Like Inamura wasn't doing strikes on NXT before, not in the tag matches as far as I'm aware. So to see that come out was really cool. But yeah, so they need to start feeding half of tag teams to Obafemi and getting some proper competition, in my opinion anyway. And finally, in the main event, we had Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace defeat Fatal Influence. And yeah, this was a fine match. Nothing particularly special about this one. Big W for Blake Monroe pinning the NXT Women's Champion. This would obviously go on to have a big effect on Evolution the night afterwards, where we saw Blake Monroe turn on Jordan Grace. I assume probably because she wants to win the NXT Championship just as much as Jordan does. But yeah, splitting the ring in half, so Jordan was away from Blake was very interesting, but also meant that that JC Jane was more familiar with Jordan Grace going into Evolution, so it kind of worked out very well that would be the case. You know, they could have quite easily gone with Blake Monroe to take the majority of the offense for this match, so then it saved Jordan Grace and JC Jane for the night afterwards, but that wasn't the case. Jordan Grace took an absolute beating in this match, and it worked really well. As much as it's clear that there are cracks within Fatal Influence, and like Fallon Henley and JC Jane kind of dig at each other a little bit, and you can see there's kind of a little bit of dissension between them. Like in matches, Fatal Influence work very, very well together, and I would strongly advocate that they don't split these guys up, just because like during matches and the interference that they have and they do, it's all done so seamlessly and so smoothly. You see Henley get on the apron, you know that Jasmine Nix is going to get involved. You see Jasmine get in the mix, you know that Henley's going to get involved, and it's done very, very smoothly. Like it's effortless. I don't know. Effortless for these guys just to get involved in matches and do really well when they get involved and get the advantage back, which is what got JC the championship in the first place. So yeah, I really wouldn't split up Fatal Influence if I was NXT Booker or just WWE in general. But yeah, I didn't expect Masha to come in and help the babyfaces get the win. I was fully expecting Masha to maybe come in and maybe cost the babyface the matches. But yeah, to be overall, I was very surprised to see Masha Slamovich at all. And yeah, I look forward to seeing the match between JC and Masha Slamovich at Slammiversary. But yeah, no, for me, I did put in my notes, it makes me think that the fact that Masha Slamovich got involved made me think that Jordan Grace was going to win at Evolution. Clearly, again, we know that's not the case. But yeah, interesting that Monroe got the pin over JC Jane here. Probably means that they're going to meet at some point if Masha Slamovich loses to JC Jane at Slammiversary. But yeah, for me, should this have gone on last? Probably not. I probably would have had Paige and Saints go on last. But again, hindsight's 2020. They don't always get this stuff right, and I understand why they put it on last with it being for the Women's Championship and within the role of the NXT Women's Championship. But yeah, for me, it was an okay match. Wasn't anything really special, and kind of finished off what was a pretty average show in my opinion. And yes, it was fine for the most part. I do look forward to seeing more of Blake Monroe as a heel, as I know Mariah May from AEW was so much better as a heel, like I said in the Evolution review yesterday. And yes, I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes in the future. So those are my thoughts and opinions on NXT Great American Bash 2025. Do put down below in the comments what you thought of the show overall. And yeah, anything you particularly was happy with, was unhappy with, anything like that, we can have a good discussion with in the comments. What do you think Blake Monroe is going to be like as a heel? Do you think it's going to be better than her as a babyface? I certainly think so, as Mariah May fit the character of a heel so well in AEW that I feel like it can't really go wrong here in AEW. I would even maybe have a link up with Toxic Attraction, with Fatal Influence. I feel like she would fit very well into that group as well. But we'll have a good discussion with it down in the comments. But yes, they do stick around for lots of good content coming up over the next week. We've got more of the matches, the best matches from each WWE PLE of each year. We've got coverage of Slammiversary, predictions and review of that as well as more great wrestling content, as well as the reviews that have been coming up over the last couple of days. I've reviewed AEW All in Texas, I've reviewed WWE Evolution, so do go check those out as well. Do subscribe and stick around. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs before SummerSlam, so yes, I would much appreciate a subscribe. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.